Hello everyone, we're going to learn today some facts about the planets. There are 8 planets and they all go around the sun, and this is called orbiting. So when the planets orbit around the sun, they go around in a shape, it's called an ellipse. It's a bit like an oval shape, and they go around the sun like this, and that's called orbiting. Some of them don't have very far to go, so they can go around once quite quickly. Some of them have a very long way to go, and it takes them much longer to do one orbit around the sun. So their years are all different lengths. So here you can see the sun, and here you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 planets. And you can see this picture here is this is a lovely picture and it shows you really well how the planets are orbiting. We have here the 1, 2, 3, 4 rocky planets that are closest to the sun, and then we have the 1, 2, 3, 4 gas planets which are a bit further away. And you can see how they're all orbiting around this hot, glowing, gassy sun that gives all the light and all the heat and all the energy to our solar system. So here is the sun, and the sun is a star right at the centre of the solar system. And as I've just said, it gives all of the energy and all the heat and all of the light. Without the sun, we would not be able to stay alive. We really need that sun to supply us with our energy. So the sun is a star at the centre of the solar system. All through the universe, there are lots of other stars. Some of them you can see at night time if you look at when it's very dark and you can't see the sun is shining on another part of the earth. If you look out then, you will see stars twinkling up in the sky. They look tiny, but they're not. They're really big, but they're far away. But our special star is called the sun. Just to make sure, I just need to remind you, I think, don't ever look at the sun because it is so powerful it could damage your eyes. So there's the sun, and remember all the planets are going to orbit, going to go around the sun. So let's find out now a bit about those planets. So the planet closest to the sun is called Mercury. You can see Mercury here. And Mercury is a rocky planet, and it's hot because it's close to the sun. It's made of rock, so it looks grey coloured, and it's one of the smaller planets. Remember, the 4 closest to the sun are smaller than the others. So here is Mercury. It's probably about the same size as the Earth, maybe a little bit smaller. So that's the number 1, the first planet. Number 2, the second planet, is called Venus. So here you can see Venus. Venus is also made of rock, and it is actually even hotter than Mercury. It's always covered with clouds, and it's a planet that it is bright. You will be able to see it. So sometimes if you look out at night time, you will see Venus glowing in the sky, and you might think it's a star, but it actually is a planet that's orbiting the sun. So that's the second planet, Venus. The third planet you might recognise because it is our planet, our special planet called Earth. You can see here, you can see the countries and you can see the oceans and the seas around them. Oh, I love this planet. This is our special planet where we all live. Now, Earth is just right. It's not too hot and it's not too cold. It's like the baby bear's porridge in the Goldilocks story. Do you remember? It was just right, not too hot and not too cold, and that means that we can live there, and lots of animals can live there, and lots of plants can live there. And the other thing that's very special about the Earth is it's the only planet with lots of water, and we all do need water to stay alive. So we need to drink water to keep our bodies healthy, and animals need to drink water, and plants need water too. So we're very lucky that our planet is the right temperature and it's also got lots of water for us. So that's the third planet. The fourth planet is quite close to Earth. It's called Mars. And Mars is another rocky planet, and this time it's reddish coloured. So sometimes when people look at it in the sky, it is far away, but sometimes you can just spot it. And if you have a telescope, you can see it much better. And it's because it's reddish colour, people call it the red planet. Now, people have sent spacecraft. They haven't travelled there themselves, but they have sent spacecraft, sent machines to Mars to have a look around, to collect some of the rocks and to see what kind of planet it is and to learn some more about it. So people are very interested in this planet of Mars, particularly because it's our nearest planet. And people do think there might actually be some water there, maybe not a lot, but there might be a little bit of water there. And that means it's possible that little tiny creatures, too small for you even to be able to see with your eyes, called bacteria, there might be some of those living on Mars, and that will be very exciting. So we've had the 1, 2, 3, 4 of the rocky planets, and now we have the 4 bigger gas planets. So number 5 is the first of the giant planets, and it's called Jupiter. And Jupiter is actually the biggest planet of them all. It has 66 moons. Can you believe how many that is? Earth just has 1 moon, but Jupiter has 66 moons, all going around it. So that is a great number of moons, goodness me. Now, it has a very special giant red spot on it, and that does move around, so you see it on different parts of Jupiter at different times. It's called the Great Red Spot, and it actually shows you where there is a big storm on Jupiter, so much bigger than the storms that we get on Earth. The other thing that's interesting about Jupiter is it takes a lot longer for it to travel all the way around the Sun in its orbit. Where the Earth goes round in its orbit, it just takes 1 year, but for Jupiter, it takes 12 of our Earth years. So that means you would have to be 12 years old now if you wanted to be the same age as it has taken Jupiter to go all the way in one orbit around the Sun. So that's a lot longer than the Earth takes. Number 6, so after we've just had Jupiter, after Jupiter comes this planet called Saturn. And this is another very special planet, and it's famous for its rings. So can you see in this picture here, you can see these rings that circle around the planet. And they are made up of huge numbers of lumps of ice. There's also some dust, but the main thing that those rings are made up of is of lots and lots and lots of lumps of ice, and they circle around the planet and they form these rings. Saturn is another gas planet, and it's the second largest. So Jupiter is the largest, and after that the next one in size is Saturn. The next planet is number 7, and that's called Uranus, and that is the very coldest planet, and it's very cold there, much colder than it ever gets on Earth. And it actually takes even longer than the planets we've just talked about to go around the Sun. It takes 84 years for Uranus to go once around the Sun. That is a very long time. And then number 8, the last planet, is the planet called Neptune, and that is the planet that is furthest away from the Sun. So we're going further and further away as we count through the 8 planets. It's another one of the gas giant planets, and it takes even longer than Uranus to go around the Sun. It takes 165 of our Earth years. That is an incredibly long time. Now we've got these 8 planets. Do you remember we had the 4 that were closest to the Sun, the 4 rocky planets, and then we have another 4 that are a bit further away, and altogether that makes 8. Now there used to be one more object that was called a planet, and that was Pluto. And Pluto used to be the last planet, number 9, but really it's too small to be called a planet. There's been lots of discussion about whether it should be called a planet or not, And in the end, the scientists have decided no, it is too small to be a planet, and there are lots of other rocky objects that are moving around near it. So now Pluto is not a planet, it's just another interesting object in space. So we have done some really interesting learning. Let's see if we can remember what all the planets were. So in the centre, we have our Sun. Then we have Mercury and Venus and Earth and Mars. And those are the 4 rocky planets. And then we get to the gas planets, and they're called Jupiter and Saturn and Uranus and Neptune, and they are the gas planets. And then we have little Pluto right at the edge of the solar system, which is not actually a planet anymore. So well done for doing all your good learning all about the planets. See if you can remember some of the names and some of the facts about them. We've also got this week some different stories about space and some songs about space. And you should have some learning to do at home about space as well. So don't forget to enjoy all that great learning. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.